everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Downright Sports. We are back in 2026. Hello, everybody. It is fun. We're back again. Why? Because I need to talk. As if I don't do it enough, but welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure. If you've never heard the show before, it is a show for sports fans by sports fans. I am Brent, Reid, the Notorious sports critic, here fixing his microphone because it keeps spinning. A few months back, I got a new mic stand because it's more portable, and Lord have mercy, is it a bit of a problem? A little bit, but it's all good. Not a big deal. Follow and like the show on all social media platforms. You can watch the show live right now if you're not on YouTube and on Facebook today, because it's the first show of 2026. I'm doing it on my personal profile, so Brent Reid. But going forward, and it has been, will be on the Downright Sports page, which you can see it there now because it's tagged there. That's right, kids, it's tagged there. So, buckle up, strap on. If you're watching live and you missed something or you need to listen to more or whatever the case is, you can download the show at Spotify. Tomorrow after 12 p.m., that's when the show drops, all right? So, where's the script? Where's the rundown? Here's the rundown. I'm a little rusty. On today's show, the Ravens move on. Too many players care about their bags. And which will make the better story for the college football playoff? It's a great question. But first, we need to get into it. That's right. The moment you've all been waiting for. The NFL season is officially over and done with. It's finally wrapped up. We have division winners. We have some teams that made it, and we're still trying to figure out how. You guys got to forgive me for a second as I play around and get the bloody microphone to tighten and loosen, and there we go. It's a little live radio, nothing like it. I always say that's a little better. Let's see. Facebook feed's down. Uh-oh. Too much motion. That's what happens when you're the producer and everything on your damn show. All right, so hopefully that's a little better. It's better for me, I can tell you that. All right, the NFL playoffs are starting this weekend. We have a series of games. We have 6 games to be exact. I'm going to give you guys when the games will be, where you could potentially watch the games, and etc. But first, let's talk about the matchups. All right, so starting with the Broncos are the number 1 seed. They get a bye in the AFC. On ESPN on the 12th, you will see the Steelers take on the Texans in Pittsburgh. We'll talk more about that in a minute. That Pittsburgh Ravens game was something to watch. I was glued. On the 11th, which will be Sunday, we will have the Bills take on the Jaguars. That game will be on CBS. The Bills are traveling to Jacksonville. Also on Sunday on NBC/Peacock, we're going to see the Chargers travel to New England and face the Patriots. In the NFC, the Seahawks are the number 1 seed. They have a bye. On Saturday on Fox, we will get the Rams travel to Carolina in a rematch. Tons of just 2 rematches in this first round. Moving on, also on Fox on Sunday, the 49ers travel east to face the Eagles. And then the exclusive prime game on Saturday, another rematch, Green Bay faces the Chicago Bears, the Go Bears. We're going to start backwards and talk about this matchup. This one is interesting because Chicago this year, people were looking for Caleb Williams to make strides. Caleb Williams was, there was some expectations with a new head coach that Caleb Williams would make adjustments and would move into becoming the quarterback that a lot of people was hoping he would turn into. I'm going to turn it this way. And this year, Caleb and his team would go on to 11-6 record. The Bears, unlike some of the other teams in this, kind of surprised people in how they won. All right, Chicago offensively, not one of the highest ranking. They're averaging about 25 points a game. Defensively, giving up 24 points a game. So a lot of their games have been close. Caleb Williams, one of those players where, again, drafted high, a lot of potential, a lot of expectations. Chicago, in its franchise history, has never had they've had names for quarterbacks, but never had a quarterback. They went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. Remember him? They went and got Jay Cutler. Remember him? He did absolutely nothing. And then Justin Fields, who will be on, like Cameron and Mace on It Is What It Is. I'm going to have Justin Fields be on my show every week because he's going to need work soon, because after what he did with the Jets this year was garbage. But Chicago this year, like a real lot today. They started the year off, they lost to a Minnesota team a lot of people thought was going to be better. They got blowed out by a Detroit team people thought was going to be better. It was the game against the Dallas Cowboys where he just balled out. The Raiders, like, if you look, Cowboys was trash, the Raiders was trash, Washington was trash. And then the Saints were trash. And then when they played Baltimore beat them 30-16. This is a Baltimore team that just missed the playoffs. Then they beat Cincinnati, trash. And that was a close game, 47-42. They beat the Giants. The Giants almost won that game, 24-20. They beat Minnesota because Minnesota had an up and down season. They beat Pittsburgh, who had a kind of an up and down season, but that was a close game. They beat the Eagles, which was the game that gave a lot of Chicago fans hope, 24-15. Then they would lose to Green Bay, 28-21 in Green Bay. They would beat the Browns, who suck. Then they would beat Green Bay, but here's the asterisk: Green Bay did not have Jordan Love. They would lose. Then they lose to San Francisco, 42-38, and then they would lose to Chicago. They would lose to Detroit, but they were resting their starters. For Green Bay, their season was way worse statistically. 9-7, plagued by injuries, plagued by a ton of injuries, and offensively only scored average 23 points a game. Defensively, allowing 21 points a game. Better than Chicago, way better than Chicago. And the problem is Chicago did beat Green Bay, but Green Bay was missing people. And Green Bay's second string quarterback wasn't Mikael Willis, who was basically putting his resume out there saying, I will be available. Chicago was barely able to beat them. The Chicago-Green Bay matchup tells me everything I need to know. Even though they're going to be in Chicago, Green Bay is very beat up. I still believe that if Jordan Love has any inkling and has any bit of mobility, and with the way Green Bay's defense is somewhat decent enough, I feel that Green Bay is going to win this series, this game. I think Green Bay has the better. I think Green Bay, in all honesty, their season was pretty much a lucky season based on the teams that they played. Now, Green Bay, not much better as far as Murderers Row. They didn't really face anybody. When they did, it wasn't good. But again, banged up with injuries. They beat Detroit. They beat Washington. They lost to Cleveland. They tied with the Cowboys. They beat the Bengals. They beat Arizona. They beat Pittsburgh. They lost to Carolina. They lost to Philly. They beat the Giants. They beat Minnesota. They beat Detroit. They beat Chicago. They lost to Denver. And again, they lost to Cleveland. They lost to Baltimore in a blowout. And so this is one of those games where, like, this could be an ugly one. If you're fans of these teams, you're happy. But if you're not, this is going to be an ugly one to watch from a fan perspective. Doesn't appear Jordan Love will be out. He's going to play. So be prepared for a Green Bay win over Chicago in Chicago. That's not to say Chicago won't get better next year, but I got to go with Green Bay. All right, I'm going with Green Bay. That's what we're sticking with. All right, moving on to the 49ers traveling to Philadelphia to take on them Eagles. Here's this. The Eagles this year, I felt all season long, have been just playing to get to the playoffs. I feel like they're a team more posed for the playoffs, all right? A lot of conversation, a lot of concern with guys like Saquon. And basically, the cool thing about the Eagles, not scoring a lot of points, only 22 points a game. Last year, they didn't score a ton of points either, but the Eagles' defense only allows 19 points a game. Why is that important? Well, the 49ers, on the other hand, put up 25 points a game. So the 49ers, this is the game, in my opinion. This is, in the words of Cam Newton, this is the game management game. Who's the best game manager? I'm one of those people who agree with Cam that I don't think Jalen is a game manager adjacent. He hasn't needed to be the guy, but being a game manager is nothing wrong with that because you're not losing the game. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, put Brock on another team, he's a game manager. All right, everybody needs to calm down. Truly, when we look at when we look at Philly, when we look at the 49ers, I see two teams very mirrored, very similar in a lot of their weapons. They have weapons both on offense and defense. They have weapons both quarterbacks, where Jalen more versatile with running and throwing. You have you still have Saquon back there, where people are trying to talk like he had a down year. He still rushed for over 1,100 yards. What are we talking about? Like, what did you want him to do? The man rushed for 1,100 yards, and he's still going to be a threat. Okay, he's still averaging 4 yards a carry. He did have 7 touchdowns. He's down this year, but again, I feel like the Eagles. I named every Philly team, but the one I'm talking about was more or less waiting in the wings for the playoffs, and now the playoffs are here. They're playing at home, which is perfect for a team like them. Okay, now when you look at the 49ers, Brock Purdy, okay. And here's where, to go on a tangent, here's what Cam means by game manager. You got a quarterback that's putting up tons of passing yards, tons of touchdowns, game changer. Brock Purdy put up 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He only played in 9 games, though, so let's not completely kick him while he's down. And he put up over 2,100 yards passing. But he was hurt. Okay, he only played 9 games. They still have Christian McCaffrey back there, all right, who led the team in rushing and receiving, which I don't know how that's going to play out in the postseason when your running back is basically your lead receiver, and it wasn't even close. Juwan Jennings, 643 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 924 yards. Like, that's not even fair. And they still got Greg Kittles, who had some health problems this year, 11 games played. Listen, 49ers was quietly good. 49ers this season was 12-5. If they played in the NFC South, they would have, Carolina, Tampa would have even had a conversation. But the Eagles at home, all right? The Eagles at home, with the type of defense that they have, with the type of the ability to have that offense explode at any time, and I'm taking Saquon over Christian McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey's great, but I don't think McCaffrey is Showtime worthy like Saquon is. So I'm going Philly over the 49ers, and Philly moves on and they take on Green Bay, where they will squash Green Bay. Now, the game that's going to be utterly ugly, utterly disgusting, and should not happen, but hold on, kids, because it did already happen. The Carolina Panthers are going to host the Los Angeles Rams, where the Rams actually lost to Carolina like 4 or 5 weeks ago, 31-28, which made people go, wait, what? Where the heck did Carolina come from? Here's my issue with Carolina. You talk about luck. They finished 8-9. All right. Their offense is, out of all the teams in the playoffs, they are dead last in offense at 18 points a game. And on all the teams on defense, they are third to last at 22 points given up. They're going against a Rams team that was first in overall offense at 30 points a game, and defensively only gives up 20. You know what the problem with that is? Carolina, you may get a chance to score more points. Now, Carolina is going to go and look at the play. They're gonna look at that film and they're gonna say, "What did we do to beat the Rams the first time?" And I'm gonna say, "You got lucky and you beat them early." All right. Now, Bryce Young, let's not poo-poo him. Bryce Young, Rico, I said, Dowling. Had a phenomenal year. Bryce Young with 3,000 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Rico rushing over 1,000 yards rushing. McMahon, the wide receiver, over 1,000 yards receiving. So they have weapons. Even in the backfield, they got a pretty strong backfield, even though their defense gives up a lot of points. The thing that Carolina has, if it works to their favor, is they have 3 different people who can rush the ball, which is dangerous. And Bryce Young, not afraid, played almost every game this year, not afraid to kind of go down the field. He's averaging about 6 yards a pass. All right. He's not really, he goes down when he needs to, which puts him in game manager that qualification, because he's not a guy that's going down real far. But in the end, they're facing a Rams team that is really good, has experience in these situations, a coach on the other side that has a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford, game changer, 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, over 4,000 yards passing, maybe this year's league MVP. In the backfield, you got Williams, over 1,200 yards, and then they have a receiver with over 1,700 yards. Like, this team is dangerous, okay? Defensively, they have 2 players currently right now with 8 or more sacks. You hear what I'm saying to you? One of them with 12 sacks, and Young, a linebacker who's getting after it. Also, in the interceptions, you got late 1 interception, and this category is passes deflected. You also have Forbes Jr. with 18 passes deflected with 3 interceptions. Like, this Rams defense is going to cause problems for Carolina. Carolina beat them on a random game in the middle of the season. These Rams are coming to play. They didn't slip up. They would have won the division. Give me the Rams in a blowout, lopsided win on versus Carolina. Now let's go to the AFC, shall we? AFC. Little history lesson for those of you watching the show or listening for the first time. The AFC is actually younger than the NFC. Fun fact. The AFC, formerly known as the AFL, merged with the league back in 1969 during Super Bowl III. Now you know. I think it was after Super Bowl III. It was because of Super Bowl III it merged. I think it was so it was after Super Bowl III, so like 1970. Because it wasn't NFL, it was the AFL. This is a long story. Anyway, think of it like this. If you're a wrestling fan, imagine WrestleMania. You got to see the WWE champion take on the AEW champion, and then one day it just became one company. That would never happen, but that'd be pretty cool, right? Right? Moving on. Let's go. So, to the AFC, we're going to New England back in the saddle again, as if they were, I guess they were listening to Aerosmith for a year this year. Finished 14-3, which would normally make you one of the better teams, except Denver finished way better than them. Anyway, New England is hosting the Chargers, who are 11-6. Jim Harbaugh back in the playoffs. His brother, unfortunately, will be looking for work. John Harbaugh, call me if you want to do the show. Anyway, here's where things get tricky. So Drake May be the reincarnation of Tom Brady. Just when you thought we were done, they made another one. Drake May, 4,300 yards passing, this year, 31 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. Here's where it gets good. He was sacked 47 times, which isn't bad. The question is, in this playoffs, will this make him the game changer or just a game manager? Which, yeah, you can do pretty good. Where would I compare him? Probably like a Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was great. No poo-poo. But, or Phillip Rivers, guys like that. Guys that are good, but, like, oh, okay. But, like, they weren't Roethlisberger or Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, guys like that, all right? But Drake gets some opportunity to play a Chargers team that defensively only allows 20 points a game. New England puts up 28 points a game. But here's where the Chargers have a problem. The Chargers have a quarterback I have zero faith in completely. Like no faith whatsoever in Justin Herbert, who had a pretty decent year. Game manager, clearly. New England is not only second in offense as far as the teams is playing this weekend, they're second in defense in points allowed and 18 points allowed. Now, why is that a problem? The Chargers only scored 21 points. So, the Chargers defense, which allows about 20 points a game, New England clearly does 8 more than that. New England clearly has a quarterback that's capable of getting done, getting busy, has a running back that can get busy. New England is going to make the Chargers wish they stayed in California easily. New England wins this one without any problems. It'll be competitive in the first quarter because the team's got to get their nerves out. After that, it's New England all day. You ain't going up there to Foxborough thinking you walking out with a dub, whether it's Brady or not. That some things are just undefeated. Moving on to the game I think matters more. So there are 2 players this weekend, Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen, respectable quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Aaron Rodgers, the veteran. Think of Logan or think of any Western. This is could be the last hurrah. He's trying to get the Steelers to their 7th Super Bowl. Josh Allen's just trying to get the Bills 1 Super Bowl. And they're facing a Jaguars team that is very dangerous. Quiet as it be, very dangerous. All right? If you look at the Jags, they have a great running back in L Jr. They have a very good defensive player and defensive end in Josh Hayes Allen. And then Cole Bishop. No, wrong player. That's a different team. But the Jags defense is a decent enough defense. Now, the Jags allow 19 points a game. Okay? Funny enough, the Bills, 28 points a game. And why is that? Well, they have a crazy dual threat running game, whether it's Josh Allen and it's James Cook, who led all rushers this past season. All right, Josh Allen and this Bills team put up immaculate offensive scoring, but as you can see throughout now, what's crazy is they don't have one receiver with over 1,000 yards. But when we look at the Bills this year and some of their losses, their 5 losses, who were their 5 losses against? Okay, they lost to New England. They lost to Atlanta, which is an ugly loss. They lost to Miami in a blowout loss. And they lost to Houston, which is a playoff team. And they lost to Philly in a close one, which is also a playoff team. Because the Bills like to play to the level of their competition, which is good for them because when they have faced teams close to them in competition, like New England on December 14th, they beat them 35-31. New England is on their level. Okay? Stick with me on this. When they faced a healthy at the time Kansas City Chiefs, they beat them 28-21. Stick with me on this. Not a lot of points here. When they faced a defensive team like Cleveland, 23-20. They will play to the level. So, if the Jaguars defense is good enough, that's fine. But the problem is, the Bills, who score more than the Jags by 2 points, will possibly win this game. And secretly, I have to root for the Bills because it's the last year in their stadium, and I would love to see the Bills get to the Super Bowl one time. Not to mention, Josh Allen's a Boston. I got his jersey in the closet. The last game that we're going over is Pittsburgh hosting the Texans. I watched Pittsburgh. I haven't watched a full Pittsburgh game all year until Sunday, and I watched them versus the Ravens. And the thing I took away from Pittsburgh is they're sloppy, they are ugly to watch, but boy, oh boy, they want to win. Aaron Rodgers with not a lot left that he gets DK Metcalf back this weekend, but this is a team that refuse to quit. Now, yes, they faced a familiar foe in the Ravens, and it was, it's a rivalry game, so of course they're going to play up. But with all the rumors about this is Tomlin's last game, with all the rumors, the team stepped up and played big for Tomlin. Okay, the Steelers this past year they didn't play Houston. Did I lose my headset? They didn't play Houston. But when you look at the Steelers and their highs and lows, all right, they lost to when they played a great defensive team like the Seahawks, they lost. But then when they played a great defensive team like New England, they won. When they played a great defensive team like the Browns, the first time they won. But then when they faced a good defensive team like the Green Bay, they would lose. They lost to the Chargers, a good defensive team. They lost to the Bills, a good defensive team. They lost to Cleveland the second time, 13-6, a good defensive team. The Texans are the number one defense going into the playoffs right now that are playing this weekend, only allowing 17 points a game. Pittsburgh only scores 23 points. On the other side of that, Pittsburgh's defense, which has dogs over there, whether it's Portis Jr., whether it's Watt, whether it is Alex Highsmith, like they have a collective of talent. The problem is that going to be enough to stop this Texans team? Now, the good thing is the Texans offensively are not juggernauts, all right? C.J. Stroud is a pretty sound quarterback. He's good enough to not fold, basically. He controls the game. Newcomb Collins is a good enough wide receiver. So, like, they have, decent enough offensive guys, but nothing that's going to blow you off the pages, okay? They don't have, their run game is not crazy dynamic. They got decent runners. Their wide receiver game isn't crazy dynamic. They got decent receivers, nobody with 10 touchdowns or nothing like that. So the Steelers have a chance. As long as Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn the ball over, and long as their defense doesn't give up stupid plays like they did against the Ravens, because they did. They gave the Ravens wide open passes. And the problem with that is the Texans defense is good enough that if the Steelers defense allows hiccups and mistakes like that, the Texans will eat them for lunch. It pains me to say this. It really does. But on this day, I must pick the Texans to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did it. It hurt, but I did it. All right, I'm going to recap my picks. We're going Texans over Pittsburgh, Bills over Jags, New England over the Chargers, and then the Rams kill Carolina. God dang it, I did it again. The Eagles over the 49ers and Green Bay over Chicago. Them bees my picks. That's right. All right, before we wrap this up, the NFL's got some job openings. I may apply. I could use another job. I wouldn't mind throwing my name in the hat. Here are the openings. As of today, breaking news, the Baltimore Ravens letting go John Harbaugh after 18 seasons and a Super Bowl and countless playoff appearances. So that is open. The New York Giants, the Arizona Cardinals, the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns, and the Las Vegas Raiders. If you're a coach out there and you're applying for one of these jobs, I'm telling you right now, in this order, this is the job you want. Baltimore, because they have Lamar Jackson. Period. And they have a richer history of making sure, now granted their history has been with one coach, but they do have a history of winning, okay? I go with the Giants because the Giants may actually have some great pieces, good wide receiver, unknown quarterback, a running back that's psychotic. So I would take the Giants. Plus their defense is low key. Got some dogs on it too. Arizona, for the simple fact they got the third pick, and nobody really, Arizona, they have highs and lows, but if somebody can get out there and put some talent out there, there's an opportunity. The Titans, because I think Cam Ward could be good with a good coach. And then let's give a second. The show's formatted differently. I'm going to give myself a few minutes about Cleveland and the Raiders and why they're terrible jobs. For the same reasons. The Raiders and Cleveland somehow are two teams that feel like they've won the Super Bowl every year. The Raiders have a history, but in my opinion, that history hasn't been relevant since Reagan was in office. Speaking facts. In Cleveland, their history hasn't been relevant, honestly, since Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson have been in office, because that's when Jim Brown left that team. Both teams and their ownership, which will never happen, need to check their egos. Cleveland didn't win because they have a stupid head coach, or had a stupid head coach, and Kevin Stefanski, that I listened to all morning on ESPN. Everybody, between yesterday and some of today, he's a two-time coach of the year. One thing I've learned about the NFL is it's dumb, all right? It's like going to a country club and getting rewarded. Kevin Stefanski is not a good head coach. The countless number of quarterbacks he went through as if he kept putting holes in socks. The way he treated Shedeur Sanders, who clearly, if he started him early in the year, the kid was capable enough of managing his team better than what they did. You wasted the best years of Myles Garrett, and you basically felt like you were the smartest guy in the room when you accomplished nothing, absolutely nothing, for the Cleveland Browns. If I'm Cleveland, sitting with the 6th pick, because Stefanski was too dumb to just keep losing, I trade out of that pick. I do. I call the Cowboys up and I trade that pick. And I see what I can get from other teams. I see what I can potentially rustle up, as they would say, from certain teams. I would see what I can get from the Dolphins. I will see what I could get from potentially the Kansas City Chiefs. What I may or may not be able to get from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Detroit Lions. Teams that probably could utilize the draft a little bit better. And I build offensively with an O-line around Shedeur. And I know the elephant in the room is Deshaun Watson. You know what? Quite frankly, trade him to the Raiders, because they're going to blow that pick anyway. Another franchise that my uncle loves, my best friend Tim loves, but they're embarrassing. Embarrassing. And now the Tom Brady of it all. Does he work for Fox? Is he a GM? Like, it's disgusting and it's dumb. Like, I'm done with these teams. And unless they do stuff of relevancy, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm really not. I'm not. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm over it. All right. We're going to take, if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, I'm taking like 15 seconds because I need to. All right. If you listen on the podcast, it's going to actually go by real fast. All right. But when we come back, we're actually going to discuss the college football playoff. And I got a discussion I need to get out the way. There's a lot of talk about, I've been watching on these podcasts, everybody's talking about my bag. Players got to get in the bag. I may not get to the college playoff because I'm going to rant a lot about that. Downright Sports, everybody. Oh. What?